Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Taylor and welcome to my tower. This week we have a fun and different kind of video. I have done something similar to this before, I'll have it linked down below, where I ranked all of Taylor Swift's songs, so that one was really fun. And I figured it was about time that we do one for Disney, specifically Disney rides, and I am just using someone else's template, so I think in the future I'll make one that has like all of the current up-to-date rides. This one is from 2022, so this will be fun and something different. So if you're into this kind of content, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe and tap the bell icon so you don't miss my future videos. And without further ado, let's get on into this ranking. So the website that I'm using today is called Tier Maker, and in the website I just searched in Disney rides, and this is one of the first ones that came up. It's labeled like all Disney rides of like 2022 or something like that. And this already does come like pre-labeled. So we have S, A to D, and then N. I'm going to be making these fun and different. For the top tier, I'm going to label it Never Change because the ride is just so perfect in my opinion. I don't ever want it to change. For A, we'll put Most Magical. So I'm going to go down to N because I'm still deciding on what I want to name the other tiers. But we'll make N Never Been On It because I haven't been on every single ride. For D, we'll put Hate It. For C, we'll put Don't Really Like. And then for B, we'll make it Like It, Don't Love It. I feel like you guys are gonna find out a lot about me in this video, and I feel like you guys are gonna assume that I am a fake Disney adult because there are a lot of rides that I've never been on. And you know what? That's okay, because I've only been so many times and there's only so much time when you're there. So up first, we have Alien Swirling Saucers, and to expose myself right off the bat, I have never been on it. I'm not really the biggest fan of like spinny rides, although this one doesn't spin like teacups. I'm sure that I'd like it, and I definitely do want to ride this. Maybe on my next trip I will, because I kind of want to make this a thing where every time I go on a new trip, I do something new in at least one of the parks, but ideally I'd like to do something new in each of the parks. So maybe this will be on my list of new things to do at Hollywood Studios. And then up next we have Astro Orbiter, and continuing on this train, I have never been on it. However, we do have plans to ride this on my next trip in 3 weeks. So I will be on this soon, but I don't really think that either of these two rides so far are anything like, you know, I don't really feel like I'm missing too much by not having been on them. I just feel like with Astro Orbiters, it'll be a little bit more fun and unique than Alien Swirling Saucers, just because you get the views of the parks, and I feel like riding this during fireworks is probably amazing. But yeah, definitely want to do this on my next trip. So let me know in the comments, is this better to ride at night or during the day? Because I'm feeling at night for this one. And then up next we have Barnstormer. I should have probably picked a different tier list because I'm really exposing myself here, but I've never been on it. But I feel like this one is pretty acceptable because this is a child's roller coaster, so. And while we're here, I guess I will expose myself the most that I probably will in this video, but I have never been in Storybook Circus. I know, that is like crazy, and I would say that Magic Kingdom is probably my favorite park. I'm really torn between Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and Animal Kingdom, but I feel like I can't really fully say that Magic Kingdom is my favorite if I've never been to all of the lands. I don't know what it is, but every time I'm there, it's just like never really crossed my mind to go into Storybook Circus, but I really would like to change that on my next trip. Okay, finally, now I feel like a official Disney adult. Up next we have Big Thunder Mountain, which I do love Big Thunder, but I don't think I'd be like pressed if they, you know, shut it down to either change the theming or, you know, refurbed it or anything like that. I just love thrill rides, and I do love it, so I'm gonna put it under Most Magical. Okay, up next we have Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin, and I have a personal qualm with this ride. Every time I go on this ride, I do not have a good experience because the shooter is always broken for me, like literally always. My score is so low, and I just like feel like this ride is just so dated to the point where it's just not even fun, honestly. And it's just so similar to Toy Story Mania in my opinion, and I do think that it should be changed. And if it worked for me when I would go on it, I don't think I would feel this way. I mean, I do like the concept of, you know, getting the Galactic Hero sticker, but I don't know if I'll ever get that because it's always freaking broken. But maybe I'll give it another try on my next trip. We'll see. Do I want to put this under Hate It? I kind of do, honestly. No, because I would still go on it if, you know, I'm with people that want to. So I think I'm just gonna put this under don't really like. Okay, up next we have Carousel of Progress, which I do really love this attraction. I especially love that it is something that Walt specifically worked on, and it's just really interesting to kind of go back in time a little bit and see what life was like, you know, just in the little 20-minute experience that we get with this ride or attraction. I feel like it's okay for it to refurb. I know it already has been refurbed before, but I do really love this, and so I'm gonna put this under most magical. Okay, if you've been subscribed for a little while now, or if you follow me on Instagram, you know that Dinosaur is one of my all-time favorite rides ever, so I feel like I don't really have to do much explaining as to where I will be putting this. I know that it is changing to Indiana Jones most likely, and that really crushes me because I just feel like if rides already exist in other parks, I personally don't know why we have to expand them into other parks. Indiana Jones specifically, maybe it's just because I don't know anyone personally that does love Indy. Well, I know people that love the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland, but I don't know of anyone that truly loves like the movies. So for that reason, I'm just a little salty, because if it was changing to something or like, you know, being rethemed to something that I actually care about, I wouldn't feel so pressed, but I have never seen Indiana Jones, so maybe that's my own fault, obviously. I should probably watch it, but I just love Dinosaur. I love that it's a mixture of being scary but thrill, and I don't know, even though I know what's gonna happen every single time I ride it, I still just feel like such an adrenaline rush on this ride. And, you know, I think it's just because I'm a huge like horror film girl, so this is like the most scary Disney ride, I guess. So I think that's why I love it so much, but yeah, I don't want it to ever change. I know it will, but don't touch it. And then up next we have Dumbo, which I would really like to change this on my next trip. I really do want to go on Dumbo, at least if I do anything in Storybook Circus. So obviously you already know I'm going to be putting this under never been on it. Up next we have Spaceship Earth, and I really just love the ride as a whole. I don't feel any sort of like emotional attachment to the way that it is, but I do love the concept of the ride. I don't really want to say that I'd be like pressed if they change the theme. I don't ever want it to go away, but I think it'd be okay if it received a refurb, especially the animatronics, and I know that the photos that it takes can definitely not work all the time, but I do love it, so I'm gonna put this under most magical. And then up next we have Expedition Everest, which I do really love this ride. I don't think that I would love it if they changed Everest. I don't really see why they would. I feel like Everest is a pretty, you know, successful coaster, but I don't think I'd be like upset if they did, as long as they were making it better and giving us a working Yeti. I feel like it'd be fine. But I do think I'm gonna put this under never change because I really do love Everest. And then up next we have Flight of Passage, which I do think is in the top 3 rides for me. Here's my thing though. I wouldn't mind if they did change it to become a ride where you don't need the 3D glasses, but I think this ride is absolutely amazing. How the Banshee breathes underneath you, and just like the length of the ride too. I feel like it's a healthy amount of time, and I love that because I really do not love when rides are really short. I think I'm gonna put this under never change. Up next we have Frozen Ever After, which I do love this ride. My only thing is that sometimes I feel like the skin tone difference between the face and the neck is just really like jarring to me. And then, you know, it is also technology, so sometimes it's going to glitch or malfunction. It's not like super duper exciting to me. I do love it and I love Frozen, but I wouldn't mind if it got refurbed. I know it's a new ride, but I do think that I definitely love animatronics like the one in Navi River. That's very realistic. Obviously, I know that is a very expensive animatronic, and Disney probably didn't really want to budget that much money on a bunch of animatronics for Frozen. I'm gonna put this under most magical. And then up next we have Grand Fiesta Tour, which I do think is a great ride. I love to go on it. I love that it's colorful and it's happy and the characters are happy, and you know, we just kind of get to go through Mexico. I do think that it's cute and it's fun, and it's usually a short wait, and you know, anybody can go on it, so I love it for that reason. But I don't really care to ride it every single time I go to Epcot. It's not really like a staple for me, so I think I'm just gonna put this under like it, don't love it. Up next we have Haunted Mansion, which I do think is a classic Disney ride, of course. I feel like it'd be okay if it got, you know, refurbed here and there, which I know it has. I know that we recently got the Hatbox Ghost, but I don't know that I would have even noticed that if I didn't, you know, follow Disney pages and see that it was kind of a big deal. I don't really pay like super duper close attention to detail when I'm on this ride. I just enjoy being on it. I think I'm gonna put this under never change because I don't really think that it could change for the better. Up next we have Figgy, or Journey into Imagination with Figment. I love that it is an original ride from the 80s, and you can tell when you're on it, but for that reason I just feel like it's just so classic. I honestly don't want it to change. Of course, I'm sure it could get refurbed and become, you know, a million times better than what it is. I don't think I'd want it to change. I love that it's just classic and nostalgic for so many people, and Figment is such a fun character, and I hope that he especially never goes away, even if the ride eventually receives an update, which I'm sure that it will. I think I'm gonna put this under never change because I don't really want it to. Up next we have Jungle Cruise, which I feel like I'm gonna have kind of a hot take on this ride. I personally feel that it is overhyped. I will say that the skippers do an absolutely amazing job being able to, you know, entertain a new crowd every, you know, 10 minutes or so. Like, it is a skill to be able to do what they do. So I'm not saying that the skippers don't make it funny. I just personally don't love the jokes. I don't really find them funny, especially when you've been on the ride a few times. You understand the jokes, you know what's coming. I'm gonna put this under like it, don't love it. Up next we have Kali River Rapids, which I went on for the first time on my last trip. I think I did include some of that in the vlog, so I'll have that link down below if you want to check that out after this. It's a good time. I mean, I went with 11 other girls and it was fun. I do love a good water ride, especially in Animal Kingdom, because it can get really hot there. So for that reason, I do like it. I would not say that I love it. I think it could definitely stand to be a little bit longer. And I'll put this under like it, don't love it. And then up next we have Kilimanjaro Safaris, which I do love this ride. I don't really know if it's a ride. I guess you would call it an attraction. I do love that there are cast members that are so dedicated to the knowledge on all of the animals, and you know, they're very well taken care of. So for that reason, I love it, and I love that it's a very unique experience to have. It is one of the few places that I can think of off the top of my head in the US where you can really go and like be on a Jeep, what is that called? Like a vehicle where you're going out into their natural habitat and not seeing them in an enclosure. So that makes me feel a little bit better. Although, of course, I wish that they were in the wild in their own habitat, you know, thriving there. But I do know that they're well taken care of. So I do love this. I think I'll put this under never change. Up next, we have Liberty Square Riverboat, which I have never been on, so I will put it there. But I just don't really care to go on it, I guess. Maybe it'd be kind of fun to kind of go over to Tom Sawyer's Island. So obviously I haven't done that as well. But yeah, I don't know how much I'd really care to do this. I feel like it's probably not much different than the actual ferry to get into Magic Kingdom. Up next we have Living with the Land, which I think is an incredible ride. I love that, you know, a lot of what is being produced in this ride is actually used throughout Disney World, and I think that's amazing. And you just get educated. It is a long time off your feet, which is really nice. And you know, you have Garden Grill that overlooks this as well. And I specifically love the farm scene in this ride with the dog and like the sunrise or sunset, whatever it is, and the yellow house. I can't even explain it, but it's just like, it gives me like a boost of serotonin whenever I see it. Like, I just really love that scene. I really love this ride, especially during Festival of the Holidays. The holiday overlay for this is amazing, and it's a must-do for me, especially during the holidays. I do really love this ride, and I don't want it to ever change, so that's where it's going. Up next, we have the Teacups, which I have never been on, and honestly, will probably only ever go on it the one time that I feel I need to kind of complete my Magic Kingdom bucket list. I do not like spinny rides. I know that it's like a Disney classic, but I personally don't care, so yeah, never been on it. Up next, we have the Magic Carpets of Aladdin, which, shocker, I've never been on it. I walk past this ride all the time, and I don't know, I just never think to get on it, especially like the kiddier rides like Teacups and Dumbo and Aladdin. I just like never gravitate towards them because to me there's just so many better rides to go on and better ways for me to spend my time. And then up next looks like we have a Main Street vehicle, which also never been on, and I'm not really sure why this is under rides. But yeah, I feel like I've never been presented with the opportunity to go on this. I feel like if the opportunity was given to me and I was, you know, walking down Main Street and saw that one was parked and loading guests onto it, I would totally go for a ride. Like, that sounds fun, but I'm not also gonna like sit around and wait for it either unless I have, you know, ample amount of time on a trip. And then up next we have Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which I don't love this ride. I just think that I don't love it because it's so short and it's not like super thrilly, you know, to me at least. honest. It's still fun and I like going on it, but I most certainly do not like waiting in the line, and I also don't love to pay, you know, $15 to ride something that's so short, which I know is hypocritical because on my next trip I will be paying to ride Tron, but that's because it's brand new and I've never been on it and it's an actual intense thrill ride, so I don't mind paying $15 for 40 seconds, but I just don't love this ride. And I do love the theming in the cave especially, and you know, seeing snow at the end. It's just not my favorite. I'm going to put this under like it, don't love it. Up next we have Mission Space, which is going to be the first one in this category under hate it. So when I was little, I had gone on this ride and I was with my family and I'm pretty sure we had like a good time, you know, whatever. As I've gotten older, I have definitely developed claustrophobia. It's not something I had as a child. The thought of going on that now, I feel like, oof, I like literally just get anxious thinking about it. Luckily, no one I know likes to go on it, so I never feel forced to. I don't love this ride and I would actually very much prefer them to get rid of it, put something better there. Up next we have the monorail, which again, not really sure why like modes of transportation are on this, but I do love the monorail. I think that it could definitely be refurbed to be more like the Tokyo Disney monorail because that one is super themed and it's fun. So I'm gonna put this under most magical because I would like for the monorail to change. And I also would love to see a monorail connect to every park and every resort, as well as the Skyliner to go to every park and every resort. I just feel like that would be so cool. So Disney, if you're watching, maybe take that into consideration. I'm sure it'd be so expensive, but it would be so fun. And then up next we have Navi River Journey, which I absolutely love this ride. My only thing with it is that it is so short, and I just feel like, especially when you're waiting, you know, sometimes like 75 minutes to ride this ride, you just want to be off your feet for a little bit longer than, you know, whatever it is, like a minute and a half. I love the detailing inside of this ride. It's just so beautiful. I maybe wish there was a little bit more like storytelling aspect into it, but I don't know, I really don't think I'd change much about this ride besides making it longer, which I know is not really a possibility. I'm gonna put this under never change because, like I said before, the animatronic is absolutely stunning. It's perfect. Her movements are beautiful and realistic, and all the colors and just like how immersive this ride is, it's just so good. Up next we have the People Mover, which I love and I think it's great. I would change something about this ride though, and it is the fact that it doesn't go all the way around the park, and I feel like that's an expansion that could definitely happen and I would love to see it. So I'm gonna put this under most magical. Up next we have Peter Pan's Flight, which I do love this ride. I do think it could definitely be updated, and I think it might be just slightly overhyped, but I really do love this ride. I haven't been on it in like probably 5 years, so I would definitely love to go on it on my next trip. So we'll see, but I do think that this could use a little bit of a refurbishment, so I'm gonna put this under most magical. Up next we have Pirates, which this might be once again a little bit of a hot take, but I do think that Pirates is a little bit overhyped personally. I don't have any kind of attachment to the films. I have seen them, it's been so long that I really don't remember. But yeah, I do love that it's like one giant dome and it feels like you're actually truly outside, and I do love that kind of concept. I think the animatronics are great as well. I do like the ride. It's definitely not something that I, you know, have to do every single time I'm in Magic Kingdom. I think I'm gonna put this under like it, don't love it. Up next we have the Carousel, which I've never done it, so I'm gonna put this on the bottom. Oh my gosh, I feel literally so fake for even doing this tier ranking. I have been on carousels in my life, so I know the concept of the ride. Obviously, you could tell by looking at it as well, but I feel like there has to be something a little bit more magical about doing it in Disney World. So would like to do this one day, but as of right now, don't have the desire to. Up next, we have Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, which I feel like I once again have a qualm with this ride because it is 3D. I do love the movie. I love Remy, and you know, I love the concept of this ride. I just don't personally love the 3D aspect. I do love it, so I think I'm gonna put this under most magical, but I really wish that they would change this to not be 3D because I just personally don't love 3D rides. Up next, we have Rise of the Resistance, which is one of the best rides in Disney World, especially, you know, technologically. So I'm gonna put this under never change. I do think that hopefully one day we'll get to a point where it doesn't shut down all the time, but I do love this ride. I think it's an absolute staple, especially in Galaxy's Edge, and it is so much fun. And I'm not even a Star Wars fan, but I really love this ride. Up next is Rock and Roller Coaster, and if you've seen the vlogs from my last trip, you will know how I feel about this ride, and I'm going to put it under hate it because it is so bumpy and rocky, and it doesn't even matter if you're wearing jewelry or not, but when you are, especially like the way that the jewelry will just kind of slam around on your head, it's just like so rough. It always gives me a headache, and every time I try to give it the benefit of the doubt, it just leaves me with a headache that I just regret riding it. I have no attachment to Aerosmith, although like the concept of the ride is fun, you know, having like this extended limo to get us to the concert. It's fun, but I definitely love to see it get refurbed, which I know it's getting refurbed right now, but I think that Aerosmith is outdated. Sorry if you're an Aerosmith fan, but I do think that studios could put something better in this place. I would love to see Disney change this ride personally and make it more like Cosmic Rewind. It doesn't have to rotate and stuff, but I just want this to be smoother and just not feel terrible when I get off. Up next, we have Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which I really love this ride. I love everything about it except for when Minnie kicks Pluto in the trunk, but I do kind of have a little bit of an emotional attachment to this ride. My in-laws have friends that are Imagineers, and when they were designing this ride, there is a scene, I believe it's right after the room with Daisy. There's a dumpster on the left, and then you can only see this if you're like really looking at the details, but like if you're in the car kind of going past the dumpster, if you turn around for a quick second, you'll see a bunch of names, and my nephew's name is on there, and it was literally named after him, which I feel like is really special. This kid's gonna grow up knowing that his name is literally inside of a Disney ride. Like, that is so awesome. I do love this tracklist system, and this is so fun and bright and colorful, and I love it, and I never want it to change. Next, we have The Seas with Nemo and Friends, which I just really love this area of Epcot. I really love Turtle Talk with Crush as well. I especially love the part of this ride where the real aquarium is mixed with the characters from Finding Nemo, and this is just a nice way to get off your feet. I do think that it could definitely use a little bit of a refurb, especially like in the first part. I feel like the screens are a little bit outdated, but I do think that this is a fun ride, so I'm gonna put this under Most Magical. Up next, we have Slinky, which I do love, and I especially love Toy Story, so I'm really grateful that we have this ride, but I don't think it's ever really worth the wait. I feel like this is one of the longest waits in Disney World behind, you know, Rise and Flight of Passage. And I also just wish that Slinky was like, I wish you could like see over him, because I feel like when you're especially sitting front row, your view is really blocked. I feel like you have a better view in the back of this ride, and I love that kids can go on this, and you know, it's a great like introductory coaster for them as well. But I just feel like because of the wait, and like I said, I would change Slinky to just, you know, be able to have a view over him. I'm gonna put this under Never Change because I do love it. Up next, we have Small World, which is gonna go under Hate It because I do. I can definitely have an appreciation for Mary Blair and all that she brought to the Walt Disney Company. I just cannot deal with the song, and I hate that it is stuck in my head for the rest of the day after this ride, and I just like do not love the dolls and the fact that their hair grows. Up next, we have Millennium Falcon, which I've been on, but I'm not, like I said, the biggest Star Wars person, so I don't really feel the need to go on this. I think I would if it was like, you know, a single rider queue and it was really short, or if I just, you know, couldn't get a lightning lane for something else and this had an available time, I would probably just do it. But for the most part, I don't love the concept of this ride. I don't like having to like do a mission on a ride most of the time, and this is one of the rides that I don't love to do that for. I don't know if I hate it, but I think I'm gonna put this under don't really like it. Up next, we have Soarin', which I absolutely love this ride and I never want it to go away. However, I do want it to change because I do think that the projections are very outdated. The scenes can stay the same, but I just feel like the projection is such like a dull color, and then like it's not very saturated. I love the concept of the ride, so I don't want that to change, but I do want it to be updated. So I'm going to put this under Most Magical. However, I will say that this is definitely a ride I absolutely have to do every time I go to Epcot. Next, we have Space Mountain, which I absolutely love Space. I think it's a great ride. I just wish that we had like the two-seaters like Disneyland does, just for it to be a little bit more comfortable, because when you're sitting there, you're kind of just like straddling like flat almost. Like, it just is not the most comfortable situation. but I really love this ride. Like I said, I'm a thrill seeker, so this is the perfect fix for me in that sense. I think for the most part, I'm gonna put this under never change. I really love this ride. Up next, we have Splash Mountain, which, as we know, it is getting changed. I really love Princess and the Frog. I really love Tiana, so I'm so excited about this change. I will not miss Splash Mountain in the slightest. I think it is a long overdue change. The ride should have never been the theme that it was. I'm very excited for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I do think it has the potential to be my favorite ride when it is completed, so I'm so excited. I love the length of this ride, so I just know it's gonna be so good. I really cannot wait. I'm going to put this under don't really like it because, like I said, I don't agree with the theme, although my opinion doesn't matter because it is done and over with at this point. Up next, we have Star Tours, which I don't love this ride. I will usually only ever go on it if there is 0 wait and I don't feel like waiting for something else. I don't hate it like I hate these other rides that are in this category, so I'm just gonna put this under don't really like it. Up next is Test Track, which I do really love Test Track, but you know what I love even more is Radiator Springs Racers. So if this were to change to a Cars themed ride, which I don't think it ever would because I know that Disney would want it to be a whole themed area and I just don't see us getting a Cars land in Epcot, but I love, like, you know, designing your own car, and then I especially love the end where you're racing around the track. I just wish we got a little bit more of that because I feel like a bulk of the ride is spent inside doing the tests. Like, I get it, but I would like to see this change and become a theme of something Disney at least, and not just like all Chevy, because I feel like, you know, in the line and then at the end it's just like Chevy's being shoved in your face and it's like, all right, I get it, y'all are sponsored. I think I'd be happy to see this rethemed, but I love this ride as well, so I'm going to put this under most magical. Up next, we have the Tomorrowland Speedway, which I have never been on it, so have to put it there, but once again, I do feel like this is kind of a kiddie ride, so I don't really have any desire to go on it, honestly. I think that maybe during the holidays it might be fun because I know they do like a little bit of an overlay for this ride. Up next, we have Tower of Terror, which is one of my all-time favorite rides, especially for Hollywood Studios. It is my top ride in Studios. Although I don't think I'd be like upset if we did ever get, you know, Mission Breakout or if it rethemed in any way. I just really love this ride, so I don't want it to ever go away. Up next, we have Toy Story Mania, which I think has the best queue in all of the rides in Disney World. It is so fun and colorful and bright and just so Toy Story, like, ugh, I just love it so much. And I really love the ride as well. It is so fun, although my arm kills me as soon as I get off. I just really love this ride, and I know I said I'm not a huge fan of like mission rides, but I really like this one, so I don't want this to ever change. Next, we have Triceratops Spin, which surprisingly I have never been on. I'm a huge Dinoland dinosaur girly, but I've never been on this, and I really want to do this on my next trip because I know it's going away. Up next, we have The Little Mermaid, which I love this ride and I really love Ariel and The Little Mermaid as a whole. This is probably one of the rides that I have ridden the most. Honestly, I do ride Little Mermaid, I think every single time I go to Magic Kingdom. If The Little Mermaid got an update, especially to be more like a live action one, that would be so fun. I would love to see that. I wouldn't really mind a change, mostly a refurbishment, because I do think that this ride is really fun, so I'm going to put this under most magical. Up next is the Wildlife Express train, which takes you from, I believe it's Africa, over to Rafiki's Planet Watch. I've never been on it and I've never been to Rafiki's, so couldn't really say. But I would love to go over to Rafiki's and, you know, see all the little animals and eventually do like the drawing class that they do over there. I think that would be so fun. Next, we have the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which this ride is cute and it's fun. I don't go on it every single time I'm in Magic Kingdom, but I do really love this ride. It's cute, so I'm gonna put this under most magical. And then last but not least, we're going to end the video like we started with the Walt Disney World Railroad and me not having been on it. This feels pretty fake as a Disney adult to not have been on this, but to be fair, the chances that I really had to ride this were during COVID when it wasn't open, and then on my last trip, obviously my trip was planned for me, so didn't really get a chance to go on this, and I kind of forget that it exists, honestly. So yeah, I've never done this. I would love to because it is a classic and I know that it was something that Walt was passionate about. So this is the final product. These are my final tier rankings, and overall I feel pretty comfortable with, you know, my decisions, but I hate that there's so many on the never been on it category, and I know I need to change that. So let me know in the comments what you want to see me ride on my next trip, and maybe I'll do that just for you. It's also okay to totally roast me if you feel you need to for not having done some Disney classic rides, because I know it's pretty fake of me. But yeah, that is all that I have for this week's video. Please follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you're not already. It's just at Taylor's_Tower. And if you like tier ranking videos like this, give me a thumbs up so I can make more for you in the future. Also, don't forget to tap the bell icon and subscribe so you don't miss my future videos, and I will see you real soon. Bye!